The 8th enlarged plenary meeting of the 8th Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea was held at the headquarters of the Party Central Committee between June the 16th and the 18th, UTC 13760kHz. Present at the meeting were members of the Presidium of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, members and alternate members of the Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee, and members and alternate members of the Party Central Committee. Also on hand as observers were officials of the departments concerned of the Party Central Committee and the Cabinet, chairpersons of the Provincial, City and County People's Committees, chairpersons of the Provincial Rural Economic Committees, and leading officials of the ministries, national agencies, and major industrial establishments. The respected Comrade Kim Jong-un, General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, was present at the plenary meeting. The Presidium was elected with members of the Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee. The plenary meeting presented the following agenda items. 1. On waging a more dynamic struggle to implement the major policies for this year. 2. On the important measures to develop education. 3. On decisively enhancing the role of officials of the People's Committees at all levels. 4. On some issues arising in strengthening the people's power. 5. On some crucial steps to intensify the construction of party discipline. 6. Organizational issue. The plenary meeting passed the agenda items presented with unanimous approval. The first agenda item, on waging a more dynamic struggle to implement the major policies for this year, was discussed. The participants heard a report on the first agenda item. The report summed up the phenomenal achievements made by the party and the people in the arduous and fierce struggle during the first half of the year. The military adventure and reactionary offensive of the U.S. imperialists and the South Korean puppet clique, who get more frantic than ever before, seriously threaten the security, development and interests of our state and laid a tremendous obstacle in the way of our advance. Though the subjective and objective situations were unfavorable, our party and people have achieved inspiring, progressive and proud successes in all fields, including the party building, the defense of national interests, the economic construction and the building of civilization, while tiding over the difficulties with their active and positive struggle under the outstanding and seasoned leadership of Kim Jong-un. The report outlined that the Party Central Committee has wisely organized and led the all-people struggle to make substantial achievements in the national economic development and provide a decisive guarantee for carrying out the 5-year plan. It mentioned the successes achieved in the struggle to hit the 12 major goals for the national economic development. It also touched on the analysis of the Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee as regards some shortcomings and abuses that occurred in the struggle for implementing the economic policies of the state in the first half of the year and on the ways to overcome them. The Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee importantly presented a realistic task to be carried out urgently for the sustainable and prospective development of agriculture. The report made a serious analysis of some abuses that a strict discipline of carrying out the national economic plan unconditionally in the economic work during the first half of the year was not established, and the work to lay an independent foundation of the economy was not done effectively. In the report, the Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee emphasized that this year, with the largest quantity of projects in the history of construction of our country, the construction headquarters at all levels should take thoroughgoing measures to supply building materials and ensure the quality of design and construction perfectly according to the high enthusiasm of the builders, so as to push ahead with the project as scheduled through their stubborn offensive. It also paid attention to the implementation of the policy tasks the party attaches importance to at present. Especially, it made a detailed analysis and review of the implementation of the new child care policy presented by the third plenary meeting of the 8th Party Central Committee. The report referred to the issue on promoting the land administration and the protection of the ecological environment in a prospective, developmental, and directional way, the issue on intensifying a scientific work to guarantee the economic development and improvement of the people's living financially, and the issue on establishing a unified command system and a system of grasping and reporting the economic work in a well-organized way at the cabinet as befitting the economic headquarters of the country. The report pointed out that all the sectors and fields should regard the development of science and technology as the core strategy and put main efforts into it in order to open up the road of national redevelopment and prosperity confidently by dint of self-reliance. The Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee presented ways to firmly prepare the scientists and technicians as revolutionary and patriotic scientists and make a unified and effective use of the scientific and technical personnel and major goals and tasks for the development of science and technology at present. The report said it is an urgent task to powerfully promote the expansion and development of the space industry as the state work. The Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee presented the essential structural measures to be brought up in the Supreme People's Assembly on the basis of the view that the space-scientific potentiality of the state should be mobilized in order to steadily expand and develop the scientific achievements made at the initial stage of pioneering the space field and thus open up the road of the space industry and build ours into a world's space power. It emphasized the crucial mission of the state security and public security organs to thoroughly guarantee the implementation of the party and government policies from the security point of view and by law, and stressed that the sectors concerned should powerfully do the work to resolutely defend the irresistible single-hearted unity of our state more offensively and strategically. The report mentioned the analysis and estimation of the Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee on the oughtiness to concentrate greater efforts on strengthening the self-defense capacity in accordance with the changed environment of security of our state and constantly update the arms and equipment of the armed forces of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The report scathingly criticized the irresponsibility of the officials who promoted the preparations for satellite launch. It put forward militant tasks for the officials and scientists of a sector concerned to make a strict analysis of the cause and lesson from the failure of the recent launch and launch a military reconnaissance satellite with success at an early date, deeply bearing in mind the mission of paramount importance, and thus make a shortcut to raising the ability of the People's Army in the scouting information and making a greater and radical development in the field of space development. Affirming that all the achievements made in the development of all weapon systems, including nukes and missiles, are a wonderful big stride in the important point of strengthening the nuclear war deterrent of the country, the Political Bureau underscored that the national defense field should consistently hold fast to the orientation for development of the nuclear weapons and the line of building up the nuclear forces presented by the Party Central Committee so as to firmly safeguard the sacred revolutionary cause of Chu Tse with the increased production of the powerful nuclear weapons. The report seriously analyzed and evaluated the extremely worsened security environment of the Korean Peninsula due to the reckless war provocations of the hostile forces who ignored our patience and warning and mentioned the urgency to cope with it sharply and promptly in military technique and politically and diplomatically. The Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee recognized that overwhelming and offensive countermeasures should be powerfully taken without delay all the time, while thoroughly maintaining the principle of action for action in coping with the intentional and undisguised moves of the enemy for aggravating the military tension, and the plenary meeting passed specific plans to implement them and ways to cope with them with unanimous approval. The Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee presented crucial tasks to conduct the external activities independently and more actively on the principle of defending the national rights and interests, including the further strengthening of solidarity with those states against the brigandage strategy of the United States for world domination to cope with a serious international military and political situation. The report touched on huge revolutionary tasks facing us and essential issues to extraordinarily enhance the leadership ability and fighting efficiency of the party in keeping with the urgent demand of the subjective and objective surroundings. The political bureau of the party Central Committee expressed the belief that the Korean Revolution would surely go over to a new phase of development since the whole party and the entire people are making redoubled efforts in unity despite the worst difficulties. And it called upon all the sectors and units to put greater spurs to attaining the goals of struggle for this year with success and boldly shoulder the mission and heavy responsibility given to them. All the participants expressed full support and approval with loud applause to the report of the Political Bureau of the Party Central Committee, which presented strategies to dynamically lead the socialist construction of Korean style on the track of sure upturn according to our timetable. Speeches on the first agenda item were made by Kim Do-kwon, Premier of the Cabinet, and Lee Il-hwan and Jeon Hyun-chul, Secretaries of the Party Central Committee. The speakers expressed their resolve to powerfully lead the implementation of the party decisions, always aware of the heavy responsibility of taking upon themselves the important issues directly related to the dignity and authority of the party and the state at the most important and responsible period in the history of strengthening and developing the DPRK. And they presented for discussion at the plenary meeting some issues which should be solved to enhance the role of the party organizations and attain the 12 major goals for the national economic development. The plenary meeting discussed the second agenda item on the important measures to develop education. Park Tae-sung, Secretary of the Party Central Committee, reported the researches promoted by a sector concerned in response to the policy of the party on changing the educational structure of the country into the one that can give advanced education and improving the educational content and methods according to the world trend of educational development before presenting it for discussion at the plenary meeting. The plenary meeting discussed the third agenda item on decisively enhancing the role of officials of the People's Committees at all levels. Jo Young-won, Secretary of the Party Central Committee, said that very great are the trust and expectation of the party for the officials of the provincial, city and county People's Committees responsible for the people's living, a powerful locomotive leading the development of their regions. And he stressed principled issues for the chairpersons of the People's Committees to actively display the initiative, creativity and activity in their work and inform the participants of materials on some chairpersons who fail to do their jobs with an attitude befitting master. The plenary meeting discussed the fourth agenda item on some issues arising in strengthening the people's power. Choi Ryong-hae, Chairman of the Standing Committee of the Supreme People's Assembly, referred to the importance of improving the deputy election method in enabling the deputies, representatives of the people, and masters of the state affairs to display high political consciousness and creative initiative, well aware of the sacred and responsible position given by the state and the people. And he presented the draft plan on the new deputy election method for discussion at the plenary meeting. The plenary meeting discussed the fifth agenda item on some crucial steps to intensify the construction of party discipline. Jo Young-won, Secretary for Organizational Affairs of the Party Central Committee, made a speech. He reported a study of a way to improve the structural and work systems of the discipline inspection field on the basis of the party building theory in the new era. Presented for discussion at the plenary meeting were measures of realistic significance in thoroughly ensuring the monolithic leadership of the Party Central Committee and the wide political activities of the party with iron discipline by further intensifying the construction of the party discipline on a new height and in reinforcing the institutional mechanism for invariably maintaining the upright political habit of the Workers' Party of Korea. The plenary meeting held sectional study and conferences to draw up active and detailed measures for thoroughly carrying out the tasks of struggle in the second half of the year 2023 and deliberate on all the issues raised in the course of discussing the agenda items. Senior party and government officials guided the sectional study and conferences. The study and conferences presented constructive alternative plans on the basis of the serious and dynamic study of the tasks outlined in the draft resolutions and deliberated on the plans whose scientific accuracy and feasibility had been strictly examined.